It's one of the biggest fails in tech history, Sora. You might think you know the story. OpenAI launches a video tool that stuns the world with hyper-real videos, only to get crushed by scandals, deepfakes, legal fights, and a stunning $15 million a day burn rate. But contrary to popular belief, Sora's problems weren't all down to costing too much to run, or even its legal woes. And actually, Sora was still landing huge partnerships with brands like Disney and getting massive amounts of users and attention when everything started to fall apart. I'm Jen Clinehens, and this is Choice Hacking. Today I'm breaking down the sneaky business and psychology traps that OpenAI and Sora fell into that ultimately killed the product, and that you could fall for too. To understand why Sora failed, you need to understand why it was massively successful, at least at first. When Sora launched in late 2025, it didn't just go viral, it exploded. 4 million downloads in a month, millions of videos generated every single day. Hollywood sat up and took notice whether it wanted to or not, and even entertainment powerhouse Disney allowed OpenAI to license over 200 of its iconic and carefully guarded characters to use in Sora content. It felt like AI video had arrived overnight, but behind the scenes, something was going very wrong very fast. OpenAI was spending $1.30 per 10-second clip that users generated. Now, that doesn't sound like much until you multiply it by millions. By October of 2025, Sora was churning out over 11 million videos every single day. Multiply that by $1.30, and that's that $15 million a day burn rate. More than $5.4 billion a year, all up in smoke, for a free app. And this leads us to the first trap that Sora fell into: the belief that if a product is popular, it must just be a money tap waiting to be turned on. But popularity and profitability aren't the same thing, especially in tech, where these crazy hype cycles can create huge losses for investors, who often get distracted and overly emotional when they see the small number of success stories that come out of these big waves of innovation. They fall for survivorship bias, and they get caught up in a gambler's mentality that even if the odds are against them, they can't lose. Just look at how many users there are. Uber learned this, WeWork learned this, and Sora learned it the hard way, because the bigger Sora got, the more money OpenAI lost. But the bigger it got, the bigger the potential upside felt. Because our brains just love big numbers. Big user numbers distract us from facts and those pesky little things that the accountants care about, like profit and loss. Big numbers feel successful. They make money feel inevitable. But your feelings aren't math, and eventually, the math always wins. So how did a product that looked massive and world-changing from the outside start cracking from the inside? Okay, so this is where we're going to talk about deepfakes. You've seen them, you've probably been fooled by one or two, but Sora's deepfakes weren't just like funny AI stuff. They crossed lines. People generated non-consensual videos of celebrities. They resurrected public figures like Martin Luther King Jr. in unsettling and problematic ways. But here's the thing. Most AI tools struggle with abuse, but Sora's abuse hit a historic level of dystopian. Researchers and employees inside of OpenAI raised concerns that Sora was being used to fill the world with AI slop, that low-quality brain rot stuff that you see everywhere, that's full of misinformation and conspiracies and basically just pollutes the entire ecosystem of information, like plastic filling the ocean. Employees also raised concerns that Sora's model perpetuated racist, sexist, and ableist stereotypes. The safety team reportedly did try to fix these issues, but ultimately were unsuccessful. Reports even surfaced that teams inside the company thought Sora was a compute drain, a distraction from OpenAI's real business, which is a big problem when an IPO is on the agenda. When the creators of something lose faith in the tool itself, there's definitely something deeper going on. So what exactly pushed OpenAI over the edge and made them finally decide to stop fixing Sora and just kill it? Well, that's a great segue to the money. But before we get into that, my analytics tell me that only 4% of the people watching this video are subscribed to the channel. I drop videos like this one about the psychology behind business a few times a week. So if you're enjoying this one, I'd be super grateful if you could take less than 3 seconds to drop a like on the video and subscribe. Sora didn't just overspend its budget by a little, it hit a financial brick wall. It's no secret that OpenAI itself is not doing that great. They kicked off 2026 with more than $12 billion in quarterly losses, a company-wide computing power shortage, enormous pressure from investors, and a growing need to funnel more attention and man-hours into ChatGPT and its enterprise products. Sora, meanwhile, was still free, viral, and burning through GPUs like a high-speed train headed off a cliff. A set of circumstances that, when you put them all together, were making OpenAI's bad financial situation exponentially worse. This is where Sora fell into one of the most common decision-making traps that I see in the business breakdowns that I do here on Choice Hacking, and that is the sunk cost fallacy, the belief that because you've spent a ton of money on something, you have to keep going. Sora was expensive to launch and maintain. And for months, OpenAI tried to push through because shutting down a flagship consumer product after a Disney deal would look embarrassing. But sunk costs don't guarantee future gains. Just ask the team behind the launch of the Concorde. They got so caught up in sunk cost fallacy that economists actually named a special kind of sunk cost fallacy after them, called the Concorde fallacy. At some point, OpenAI had to face reality or risk becoming its own special kind of sunk cost, the Sora fallacy. And by the way, I talk a lot about this effect in my best-selling book, Choice Hacking, How to Use Psychology and Behavioral Science to Create an Experience That Sings, which you can get a free digital copy of at the link in the description. So the question you might be asking is, why didn't OpenAI just charge for Sora or limit usage or build a business model around it? A radical thought, I know. Well, the reason is because something big and distracting was happening behind the scenes. Sora's biggest endorsement came from Disney, a billion-dollar partnership with iconic character licensing and the promise of AI-created entertainment, whether anybody asked for it or not. But right as Sora shut down, Disney walked away, because Disney doesn't do chaos. Disney does control. Just ask their legal team, allegedly. Sora, by the end, felt like the opposite of control. It felt like chaos and risk. Brand risk, legal risk, public opinion risk. And risk destroys something even more important, psychological safety. Not like the corporate HR version, but the consumer behavior one. Psychological safety is the feeling that this thing won't hurt me. This thing is predictable. This thing is stable, and I can depend on it. Every successful product, from the iPhone to Netflix, gives people a feeling of psychological safety. But Sora didn't. It couldn't, because the product itself didn't know what it would be, what it would or could generate from one second to the next. And Disney, a company who is really good at creating and controlling narratives, couldn't attach itself to a tool that felt unpredictable. So while reportedly OpenAI killed Sora and then Disney walked, it's entirely plausible to think that there was a bit of mutually assured destruction kind of baked into the Disney deal from the start. Nobody's getting out of here alive, basically. But here's the thing. Sora didn't fail because it's a bad product. I mean, you can certainly say that the concept shouldn't exist, or that it's unethical or terrifying, or that it kills human creativity. I mean, you certainly could say that. But the product itself wasn't bad, and in fact, it was incredibly impressive. People still prefer Sora videos over almost any other AI video tool. The model and its outputs were so stunning that OpenAI changed the entire AI video game in less than 6 months. But Sora fell into the same psychological business trap that's killed so many of the products and brands I talk about on this channel. New Coke, Kmart, Sega, Toys R Us, and a million more. At the end of the day, OpenAI misunderstood what it was creating. They weren't creating just a video generation tool with a semblance of a business plan. They created a machine that eroded the very fabric of trust and dependability with users, with partners, and even with the teams that created it.